morning, everyone. Welcome to the Sports Wave Network and Sports Corner with the Conn Man. I am your host, the Conn Man. And this evening I have with me my good friend, Jacob Cristner. How you doing, Jacob?
Not bad. You're such a con man. You'd be in the White House.
Folks, Jacob came on my show last time and he stole the show. He stole the show. So I wanted him to have him come back on my show because I'm gonna do something a little bit different, Jacob. You're very you keep it 100, you keep it a buck. And I'm just gonna throw things at you that you're interested in and get your take on it.
Just put it all out there.
I know you're very knowledgeable, but before we even go there, Jacob, let the folks know a little bit about you, a little bit about your history and your journey.
Well, I was on Sideline Sports. I was on Sideline Sports. I was on South Florida Tribune and in Scriber Magazine for 4 years. The life got itself into the way a little bit. I mean, just decisions made, no hard feelings, no anybody, and I'm basically on my own now, building my own stuff. So it's like you're my first interview in 4 months.
Really? Wow. Yeah. Unbelievable. But I've been
there's just no hard feelings, no anything. It was just decisions made, all that kind of stuff, and kind of went on my way. And I just kind of wanted to make my way and make it, and just get out there and get shown. Maybe I'll do it independently and do all that kind of stuff again, but I needed a break.
Something you've been doing for a while, and every now and then, there's nothing wrong with taking a break. Nothing wrong with it at all. But now that I got you here, I'm glad you came on. I'm just going to throw some things at you. Just get your take on it.
Sure.
There's a situation out here where I'm from with the New England Patriots. They have a little situation brewing over here in Foxborough, right? About 20 minutes from where I'm at. And of course, there's a lot of things going on.
Could you go with the church guy himself? Yeah, and then Rossini and his happily married husband. It's
now you as a sports writer reporter. What do you think what effect will that have on her career?
Oh, she's going to be going into her own. Well, you know what she's going to be doing? She's going to be doing one of two things or both things. She's going to start her own podcast, which will help. She'll do her own podcast, do her own interviews. That's going to make her more money anyway. But some of the stuff she's also going to do, she's also going to go on places like Jamel Hill's show and play victim. And she'll play victim, and she'll go on everything else. She'll do all those. It's no big, huge deal. It won't hurt him. It will hurt her. But the biggest issue with something like that is not only did she do that, but she named her child Michael.
I was just going to do it.
Yeah, so she named her child, and then the husband stayed with it anyway. It's like, and so it's one of those deals where it's like, so they didn't want. I guess everything is a secret. My big thing in itself is the fact that so many people are mad. That's how she got all of the things. She was in Tennessee when he was in Tennessee, and she got all the big hits. She got all those. Without any, this is the deal. Without the bedside manner and bed stuff, that's how Stephen A. Smith got everything, just in a different way. It's like he just did it in a different way. It's like it wasn't like he was going to the WNBA. Then again, no one in the WNBA does that anyway, so he couldn't do that. But it's he's definitely not going to be going into bed with LeBron. So he's going to do. See, she just found. I'm not going to say I like it. I'm just going to say she just found her way to do it, to get her stuff, to get her the big hits, to help her career. Is it right? Is it wrong? I mean, it's unfair. It's unfair, but the life's unfair.
Now, let me ask you another question. There's some talk out here about tampering. What do you think about that? Is that a possible?
You talking about tampering with New England?
Yes.
You're talking about with Vrabel?
Yes, and AJ Brown. Seems like she might have got a lot of inside information that maybe I don't know.
It'll be a fine. That's just going to be a fine. They're not going to make him take it back. And even if they did, to go back to Philadelphia, just get trade. Knowing them, they'll just trade to Dallas. Just get really irritating. That's just the way it goes. But it's just gonna be a fine. They can't do much else.
Right.
Because remember, once they leave a place, the locker room's gone, all that stuff. The key thing is gone. They have to reset everything. It's just too hard. So it's just going to be a fine to go with it.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Now I want to go because I'm gonna go all over the place because I want to pick your brain and I want to go over the place. You had mentioned something about you just mentioned his name, Mr. Stephen A. Smith, and his rant and rave about golfers are not athletes. What's your take on that?
And race car drivers, I know.
And race car drivers.
Yeah, because he's an awesome athlete. I'll tell you. I mean, take a look at the guy. I call him this era's George Jefferson. You know, it's like I call him this era's George Jefferson because it's the whole fake it till you make it, no hairline, no anything, get a strut. You're about 5'3", you know, all this stuff, and then you make it big. That's this era's George Jefferson. But what does a non-athlete know what an athlete is? And you got to realize something. Race car drivers have to hold a wheel at 200 miles an hour and keep it from going. You have to go left, 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 left. I mean, you're flexing your arms the whole time, flexing your whole body, and then you're doing that for 500 miles.
What
and you're
about
doing that speed?
And look how many people you're competing with.
Yeah, and then you have to have the reflexes to avoid crashes. That's
how can you say that's athletic? How can you?
Yeah, that's athletic. And then it's hand-eye coordination for golf. That's athleticism too. It's just because because their heart doesn't race, they're not sweating like crazy. It's a mental athleticism,
which can be even more. You know what I mean? Which can definitely be even more. You know. Okay. Now I'm going by what I was looking up you, and I got some things I'm just gonna throw because I just love the way you keep it real. What you think about the Rams quarterback pick in the draft?
Well, he was way too high. He was way too high. It's like if they would have put Shador at number 15. You know, but no, you see, Shador was not a top pick, but fifth was a little too low. I mean, yeah. Fifth was low, but it's the same boat. But you got to realize, Rams fans are living off of emotion. They living off the emotion and the MVP of Matt Stafford. They're living off a Super Bowl 4 years ago, and they're living off this. They forget in the middle of, I call them emotional nitwits. They forget in the middle of all of that, the 3 to 4 years, his back was terrible then. He's 38 years old now. His back is shredded. You have to have something. You're not going to use Jimmy Garoppolo, and Stetson Bennett's in the middle of a beer pong competition somewhere. So it's like he doesn't have a replacement, so you have to figure a way somewhere.
And you know, some too, you just brought Garoppolo. Do you realize he made over $140-something million in his career?
Yeah, most of it is a starter. but it's, I mean, that's what you get with your initial starting wage. I mean, think about this. Mitchell Trubisky's about 60-some mil because of his original contract. He just went from $2.5 million to $5 million from Buffalo to Tennessee, and in truth, he probably has a better chance to play some games because Ward will get hurt.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Ward will get hurt. He got a little bit in Miami, so he has a chance to play some games, and he got a raise. Because Allen gets hurt like crazy, and you can't ever get a game in because Allen plays hurt. He's old school.
That's absolutely correct. That's true.
And remember this about, I'm just saying this, I just changed the subject on that. But just remember this. This is what people were laughing about Trubisky going to Tennessee. I was going to say this. I mean, Tennessee, you know what they saw? They saw a 4-touchdown, 0-interception game in the last game he played. Even if it gets the Jets. They're like, we've got ourselves a backup now, finally. Because the last backup was Mason Rudolph.
Yeah. We don't have to go there.
So you're going to get a guy who wins, who's probably going to go 500. You get a guy who goes 500. But as far as Ty Simpson goes, here's what my question is: Does McVay want to? Because he had one guy he's ever developed. And that was Goff, and he didn't want him. He got rid of him to go get an old guy so he can coast on him. Does he want to develop? That's the question you had. He didn't look happy. It's like he didn't develop The only ones that ever developed Stetson Bennett was AA. It's like, I mean, period. And it's like he doesn't want to develop anyone. I mean, Jimmy Garoppolo was already developed. I mean, he doesn't. I don't think he wants to develop anyone anymore. I think he wants to coast. He already likes to call plays. He wants to coast. So I don't know if this Ty Simpson thing's going to work.
That's going to be very interesting. You know, what is your take on the Philadelphia Eagles situation with A.J. Brown?
I think he was the wrong guy to get rid of. I think it should have been Devontae Smith. Because the reason being is Devontae Smith wants to be the number one guy, but he's the one that gets the hamstring pulls all the time.
Yes.
AJ Brown's the one that's healthy 15 out of 17 games. So they just kind of you want to have a wide receiver one, you want to have the one that's there. I mean, he's going to miss 6 games, the Devontae will, and they don't have a backup anymore. But you want to know what this is going to. You know what this helps is fantasy football guys. Because you can now put them on both. You can now put those guys on your team as a wide receiver 1 and 2, because you couldn't do that in Philly because you don't know who's going to get hot.
That's true.
And now you can put Devontae Smith on your 1 or 2 and AJ Brown, and they're both good, and they're on a different team, and they're both ones.
That's true. What do you think about the NFL going to 18 games? Uh-oh, I got a nerve.
No, and it's why Goodell gets booed every time he picks the number 1 guy. You know, it's the biggest problem. The biggest problem is the fact that they want to go to 18 games, and then you don't know what we're going to have. We're going to have more bubble wrapping of people. Like, you go to baseball, how many times they bubble wrap pitchers and they get hurt anyway? Same thing will happen. You're not going to have many that. Maybe Josh Allen, maybe Stafford if he stays healthy, but you're not going to have many that play every game. You're going to see load management more and more. And it's going to be a pain in the butt because now fantasy football gets affected. And fantasy football is about a $25 billion deal.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So it's like, so they're kind of stepping on their own feet.
Do you think it's going to be,
by the way? Can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear. Do you think it's going to be a reality?
18, yeah, no question. 18, yeah, it's going to happen. That's unfortunate, but it's going to happen. It's like the owners want more money. But here's the issue with that, though. Their home games won't be anymore because everybody's going to go across. So it's not going to be one more home game because they're going to sometimes it's only going to be 6 home games because you're going across the world, which costs money.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. So it's really going to cost them money, and then they're going to hope they can make it back in taxes.
That's correct.
But by the way, this 18th game, speaking of that, the jock tax is going to affect these guys. Jock tax is going to hurt these guys because they got to go across the world. They got to go, like if you're in Chicago, you got to play in Los Angeles. There's that jock tax. You want to know who's going to try to avoid the jock tax is Caleb Williams.
See, people don't know about the jock tax. Can you explain that to them? People don't know.
What it is, it's like the jock tax is what in a basic idea, jock tax is if you say that you're Chicago, you go to Los Angeles, you're paying Los Angeles taxes. You go to this, you go to pay. The only ones you don't pay taxes on are Tennessee and Florida. Remember, because Tennessee and Florida don't have a sales tax.
That's right. That's right.
But those are the things. But other than that, though, those are the little details. Those are the little details that people miss with something like this. It's the jock tax. And then you go across the world. There's going to be areas they're going to lose money.
Yeah, I would think so. So
the ones that are going to make the money are the owners. So the players are going to lose more. And remember, you're now getting guaranteed money, but a lot of the guaranteed money is based off of basically stocks, basically any of those type of things. They're probably going to be in crypto. So there's more rules than people know about.
There's a lot of things that people don't know about. I mean, like you said, little things under the table, little things that we don't know. You know what I mean? And if you don't do your research, you might never know. Now I'm gonna switch again. I'm gonna go around again. Let's talk the WNBA with the expansion team. WNBA has lost money, and
when
now
did they ever gain it?
And the fact is,
I think to me, to be very honest, I think Caitlin Clark could buy the league. No, but see, I'm going to bring up something with this. Everybody wonders why all these other ones, but Caitlin, are getting the supermax. Caitlin wakes up with more than a supermax every day. People don't realize this. These people are getting the most of getting their lives, and she's got merch deals. She's got businesses. She doesn't need it. She doesn't need it, and it's like they don't realize where that money comes. How much money she really has. That's the big thing. It's like if she gets a supermax, it's basically going to be her Starbucks budget. That's all it's going to be. That's all it's going to be because she doesn't need it. Everybody else that does a supermax, this is their first big money. Remember, they all gone to Russia. They've all gone to Turkey. They've all gone to Iran. They've all gone to all these places. Well, Iran, not really, but they've all gone to the Middle East to play. They've all gone to these spots. Pakistan. They've all gone to these places. So that's the thing. She's got all the money already. She doesn't need it, but these ones do.
Okay, now here's really what I wanted to talk to you about. There's a thing that got in the NCAA right now, and I really want to get your take on this because I have my reservations. I have my issues. I'm not as boisterous as you are, but I do have my thing with the NIL and the transfer portal. Now, what I mean by the NIL.
NIL means not in league. But yeah, but
what I mean is, it's changing the whole complexion of the NCAA in more ways than one. Because now you notice college coaches are not recruiting high school players anymore.
Well, That's Rick Pitino said he wasn't. Well, you know what this is, though. You know what this is, don't you? Is this just means that you want to know who's going to benefit by that is JUCOs. Because JUCOs are going to have those high school players for 2 years, then they're going to go pick from the JUCOs.
Yes, that's absolutely.
They're going to hit 30 points a game in the JUCOs. They're going to move. They're going to benefit.
That's right. I didn't even think of that.
Because they're just going to know to do that. But no, really, the big thing with it. Here's the deal with the NIL. NCAA got to put on themselves because you had a guy like Rick Majerus who would break no rules at all. There was one time he literally bought food for one of his kids because they lost their mom or something. And he lost his mom, and then they sanctioned him for it. I'm like, once this happens, did you not expect this to happen? Did you not expect it to happen? It's like once they were going to get their NIL, they're going to get their revenge on you. And here's the thing: NIL is the Donald Trump of NCAA. It is revenge. Because remember, I'm not playing a political thing. I'm saying it in this boat. Donald Trump's whole thing in every book is saying, "Get your revenge. Don't let anybody run you over." And see, the NIL is the Donald Trump of it because it's their revenge. Ed and Charles O'Bannon wish they could have done NIL then to get their revenge on the NCAA.
If it wasn't for him starting the ball rolling, this never would have materialized anyway. Yeah. But how about this? How about having, because last year, I don't know, I can't give you the exact number, but I'll give you one. Providence College just recruited European players, which we all know that, but there are now collegiate teams who are getting professional players from the G League. What do you think about that?
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. If remember, the G League is just all the college players in the first place. So, in truth, this is when they should have done Mac McClung. They should have done Mac McClung if you want to make a big deal. You got a guy who got 3 points a game in G League. Woohoo! He's going to the NBA. No, it's like Mac McClung averaged 34 a game. He had 4 50-point games. That's like, if you want to make a real boost, you'll get him. And he's the dunk champion 3 times in a row. Go get him if you want to make a news.
I agree with you 100% on that. That's great. Now I get, because I don't get you for a short period of time, so I'm getting you all kinds. I'm doing something different I've never done before. Let's go talk with the Knicks now. What is the situation with the Knicks as far as, and right now they're down 2-1. What if they were to lose? What
they
if they
they
were?
might. They might. You got to
They,
realize
they,
you've been seeing me on Facebook talk about the Hawks the whole second half of the year, haven't you? I've been talking nothing but the Hawks. It's
yeah.
because they got rid of Trae Young, who is the perfect walking poster boy for the Wizards. I mean, basically quitting ISO that doesn't make anything. That he is perfect for that place. But the thing is, look, since they got rid of Trae, they got CJ McCollum, they got Kuminga, they got Nikhil. You know, they got those guys. Plus all that. Look at what Quinn Snyder has put on the Atlanta side. It is the old school 80s and 90s ball movement. People set picks. People do everything. They've had. I'm not kidding you. In about 7 different games this year, they had seven guys with double digits. With 4 of the guys with 20 points. They had 1 game with 8 people in double digits. They moved the ball around. So they're always, remember, in every game in this series, they've been in it. Every game, and now they've won 2 of the 3. And it's like the Knicks are just in trouble because they're just ISO with the coach that he never has control of his players anyway. And when I said this about the Knicks, and I'm sorry, I'll interrupt. When I said this about the Knicks, I said this, and you might have seen this part. If the Knicks were going to go get somebody, go get Mike Malone or another guy that has won a title, or steal Missoula or a Kerr or any of those guys that have titles. Steal them and go finish it, because Thibodeau he's got like 5 let's see, Eastern Conference and Western Conference types. You know, he's got those. He just can't finish it. Go get a finisher. They didn't get a finisher. They get a they got a Mr. ISO, who doesn't control his players. Like I said, if I was the Knicks, and it is Madison Avenue, it is Madison Square Garden. If it's the Knicks, like I say, you go and try to steal Missoula. You try to get Malone before he went to North Carolina. You try to get Kerr, Steve Kerr, who's got 4 titles. You put the bag out there and steal some players and worry about the collusion thing later, which you'll get fined, which you will never get punished more than a fine. You take a chance. They got the most boring choice whatsoever, and they're probably going to lose it.
And Jacob, they gave up 6 picks for Bridges, and he's been basically a no-show. And
then he made $145 million. I mean, that's not chump change. But
go ahead.
Yeah, and the big thing, you know what happens? Some work harder. Some work harder when they get that money. Some quit.
Absolutely.
It's like, because here's the thing: the ones that work harder are the ones that are looking to invest in money. Mind you, you've seen me. I'm going to football for a second. You've seen me. I have not been a fan of Caleb Williams, except for one thing. I like his business sense. The way he does contracts, he's going to be. He tried to Caleb Williams. The one thing I liked about him. One thing I liked. Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely.
I just had to think. One thing I liked about him was that he tried to get because it's Illinois and their taxes are ridiculous, and I'm from Illinois originally, so I know about this. The taxes are ridiculous. He tried to get his first contract into an LLC, so it would avoid the taxes. So he's got that. But someone like him, someone like Jaylen Brown, someone like those guys, they're just using these contracts to get to the next contract and to invest that contract to become a billionaire. They're looking at that. Someone like Mr. $145 million guy, Michael Bridges, was it?
Yes.
They think that those are the guys that go broke because they know that money's forever. They'll be out of the league and they go bankrupt.
That's true.
So you have to wonder how sloppy they're going to be. It's like if he's sloppy on the court like that with and stuff and thinks this is the 80s and 145 million goes forever, and it's like Gordon Gekko. If they think all that and the money goes forever, they're sorely mistaken, and they're playing for that one contract. It's you want to play for multiple contracts and invest them all.
And you're right, because usually it's not your first contract; It's your second contract usually that's the big one. If
Yep.
you can get to the point, if you can
Yep.
get that far, you know what I mean. But
For sure,
getting
yeah.
back to the Atlanta Hawks, I was talking about them even before Ice Cube, Ice Tray, whatever you want to call them, left to go to Washington. Do you know when they got rid of Ice Cube, Ice Tray, that they don't have any max players? They're young, they're hungry. Like you said, they distribute the ball. They're fun to watch, and they got the young plus the wiry veteran in McCollum who hits that. He's a Mister Mid Range. Who they're fun to watch. I don't know if how far they're gonna go, but and
Well,
you
it's
had
house money.
mentioned
Well,
you mentioned one of
Man,
your
Con Man, it's house money. Who cares now? It's like this is the thing. Atlanta sports have the worst habit of not getting anybody. Like when LeBron James, Kevin Durant are always on the any of those Giannis and Antetokounmpo, any of those guys are on the list. You never hear Atlanta on that list. It's always a laugh. It's always a laugh. Meanwhile, they live in Atlanta. I've actually seen Joel Embiid before going for training and stuff like that. They live in Atlanta. They go train in Atlanta, yet they don't want to play there. This might be huge, have a chance at these impact players they've been missing. And like I said, whatever happens this year is house money. You can go get a big impact player to play with Jalen.
And as you said, they got the fourth pick next year, right?
Yep. They have a good chance of getting one of the fourth picks because of the trade. And they got Kuminga, they got a bunch of guys. They got a bunch of guys that just they want to move the ball around.
And they're young. And Kuminga on the bench for 25 games with DMPs. Now he's playing. And you know what? He had that added pressure at Golden State. Now he's playing.
You want to know who I'd get? And I'm just saying this. I'll tell you 2 players I would get for Atlanta, and only 2. Don't mess up that chemistry. There's 2 players I would get. I would get Giannis. I'd get Giannis. Go pay for a contract. Go get Giannis. Get the impact guy because he's going to have help, unlike Milwaukee right now. You go get Giannis and Luke Kennard from the Lakers. Because here's the reason: it's because they're going to lose. They got a couple of their guys on the bench that's going for free agency. You already got the Jock Landale who got hurt, but he was really good pickup. He was a surprising pickup for that end. You've got a couple others. You're going to have this, and then you can get you got him who can already shoot threes and be underneath. Kennard's all threes. You can get that it's like you're going to get even better if you get those 2. And you leave everybody else alone. I think you've got that's a 55-win team next year.
And the thing too about it, Jacob, is the fact that they have the wherewithal to be able to go and get a Giannis. A lot of teams can't do it because of the salary cap, the second apron, the first. They can do that. They can definitely imagine if they. Ooh.
Oh no! And this is the thing. This year, this second half might change their fortunes if they're using it right. Because, like I said, whether it was the Falcons, whether it was the Hawks, whether it was the Braves, every time you see a Shohei Ohtani, every time you see a Giannis or LeBron, every time you see, let's say a Khalil Mack, I'm talking about when they're big. Every time you see it, the Atlanta teams are never in the name. They're never there. Maybe they will be now with Matt Ryan, but they're never in that list. This might change it. This kind of might change it with the Hawks and then bring it around.
I tell you what, they're off to a great start. And this is a perfect opportunity because they have no max players. They can go and they can do quite a few options that they do have. I
don't think they can beat a Celtics. They're just too rough. I think they can beat Cleveland.
Cleveland's up and down.
Like I always say, it's James Harden who it is impossible to win a championship with James Harden on your team.
I was going to bring him up next.
That's what I want to say. It's like you want to get anybody for that the Hawks team for a star except James Harden, because all he's going to be at is the cheetah the whole time.
I mean, his numbers are phenomenal, but
I don't care about his numbers. He got 29,000 points. I don't care. Everyone,
Right.
I mean, there's not one point that attributed to anything spectacular for a team ever. It's like he is an ISO freak that has a lot of good. I mean, he can win 3-point contests if he wanted to do it. I mean, let's see. Who was the? I'm just gonna say this. Who was the fighter that he looks like that fighter back from the day that used to be in the backyards and fighting? Kimbo
Oh,
Slice.
the guy with the
Kimbo
beard.
Slice.
Yes,
He
yes,
looks like Kimbo Slice without a gym.
yes.
I mean, it's and more strip clubs, but still, I get irritated with James Harden because the amount of threes he can hit. He's got 7 or 8 60-point games in his career. He can score at will, and he can, but he doesn't want to play defense. He doesn't want to do the intangibles to win. And then when you see him on the bench, watch it when they're seconds away. It's every year, seconds away from the from being out of the being out of the playoffs. He's just thinking of his the baby in the car, and is the limo running, and what's the strip club this week? What's the strip club tonight? And do we have my favorite ones, Peaches and Flo?
See, folks, this is why I have him on my show. I don't know how that's going to work out with the Cavs. I don't know how it's going to work out, but if their big men don't come correct, there's definitely going to be a
That was a
problem.
bad idea. To me, that was a bad idea. Might as well just stayed with the Clippers and lose there too. I mean, by itself, it's like people. You got to realize guys that like James Harden are in the league because of fantasy basketball, because of fantasy sports in general.
I'm sure.
Because he does get high numbers. He does get high numbers. Make the mistake. He is talented, highly talented. But you're not going to. Truthfully, if you really wanted to get somewhere and run to pay it out, send him to Orlando. I mean, send him like when Orlando was bad. Send him to Detroit when Detroit was bad. Send him to the bad teams that you can, because there's still points anyway. But it's like, why do we keep sending him to places that are contenders? Orlando's a contender now. Detroit's a contender now. But why do you keep sending them to a couple of years ago? Why do you keep sending them to contenders? He's not. The media wants to say he's the final piece. No, he's never the final piece.
And if you know anything about James Harden, he's on a 1-year contract. So he's going to want big time money. That's why he's putting up all these numbers.
Oh, you talk about Harden?
Yeah.
Of course he is. He spreads money to G strings all over the country. I mean, of course he wants more money because he's not exactly taking them out after it's over with. The G strings. I mean, you should see. I can imagine what his tips are. Oh, by the way, KD is out Game 3 versus the Lakers. I know. I just got that news now. Durant's out. Durant's out.
He missed Game 1, played Game 2, and he's out
for Game 3.
Wow. Okay, now since we're talking about that, what do you think about the Lakers now with the old guy who's 41 years old, Luka out, AI out, LeBron 41 years old, holding up the fort, and now
Let me say this about LeBron. You notice how many times he set up everything? Go get Paul, go get every star known to man to go pick titles that he could not get. Notice how many times he did that, and his best chance at a title is 6 white guys from a YMCA. That look like a YMCA guys. That's his best chance at the title. It is so, and he knows it because next year when he's there, he's going to be finding those guys. You notice that Connect before they had their falling out was playing more than Bronny.
Yeah, I don't know.
So it's like he spent all those times trying to get all of those big time stars and do everything, and it's all those super shooter European style white kids that's gotten him this far. And he knows it because he's not trying to go after Giannis anymore. He's not trying to go Harden anymore. He's trying to get these kids. He's trying to keep these kids alive, so he can do it.
Do you think their chances are pretty good? I mean, obviously they're probably going to get by.
It's going to be tough with Oklahoma City. It's going to be rough with Oklahoma City. It really will. They play just like they are a more star level team version of the Hawks. Even
with Williams being possibly out.
I'm just saying. It's like, you talk about. Let's see. What about Alexander? Shea Gilgeous-Alexander? He still scores though.
Sure.
But no, that's just the thing. That's just the deal, though. But it's like it's going to be tough with Oklahoma City. But they're gonna. But really, by itself, he's going to go get one star, but he's not going to get 3 or 4 anymore. He's not going to try to do that anymore. He's going to keep trying to collect those YMCA kids. He's going to keep trying to collect them, and because he knows that I think the thing about it is he knows they look up to him. They grew up with him, and they're good, and they shooters, and he didn't have to worry about them, and they're not going to try to take over a game. And it's like when he goes after all of those other ones, all those other big time stars, everybody wants to take over a game, and he has the ego, wants to take it over. They're not going to stop him, and they're good, and he can still pass.
Yes, definitely. It's going to be
what it is,
Huh?
What it is,
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see how well they do. You realize that it's very difficult to repeat NBA champions. It's very, very difficult to do.
Yeah, it really is. But I thank Oklahoma City for last year. I really thank him for it because we saw a third less 3-point shots per game in a lot of the games because these guys. And coaches are copycats. Now we're seeing. Now you notice that Atlanta got themselves C.J. McCollum, the mid-range guy. It's not jacking up 40-foot 3-pointers anymore. And it's like, and everybody, they're doing that kind of stuff. They're pick off the ball, all that kind of stuff. Now there's coaches that want to try to do that. Mike Brown doesn't know how to do it. So, you can forget that. But a lot of these other coaches are going to try that. You want to know who's going to know how to do is Missoula.
Well, he's already got a championship, so he knows the method. What do you think about the injury to Wemby with the concussion protocol? He's not going to be playing.
It just makes me sad because I remember when Larry Bird smacked his face like that and come back.
Diving on the top, remember that. I do remember.
And he smacked his face and did that, and then came out and the place went. It was like a WrestleMania, and the place popped. And then he was exceptionally pissed off when he came back into the game and just took it over. And I'm like, the lawyers and the agents will not allow that anymore. Won't allow a story like that anymore because they're so. But it's like, oh, bring up baseball. They mean, how many pitchers they keep bubble wrapping? They get hurt anyway. And they do that stuff. They bubble wrap these guys and they get hurt anyway. It's like it's like you're worried so much that you're hurting them worse.
And my question to you is, if we're going to go baseball now, how much has analytics played? I know the answer is, but how much of a role does analytics play in making baseball decisions by these?
Oh, it's garbage. Oh, it's garbage. No, it's garbage. It's like there was 5 300 hitters last year. 5. Like 5 to 7 maybe. And it's ridiculous. You have 6 out of 9 starting lineups with 220 averages, 230 averages. They're horrible. They strike out too much. They wanted Cal Raleigh so badly as the MVP. He hit 247, had 190 Ks. He's on pace for 220 this year. Meanwhile, the one they wanted him to beat was 325. That was Judge. He had 52 homers, but he had 325 average. The Major League Baseball is trying to make on base percentage and batting average irrelevant, which is horrible for the game because we're going to see a bunch of solo homers. But it is also the world of the TikTok. It's the world of TikTok because everybody wants the cool play in the home run. They're not looking for a sacrifice fly or a ground out. But those are what score the runs and do that, and those are what win World Series. But Major League Baseball is thinking the wrong way. What they need to be promoting the heck out of is stolen bases. They need to be promoting the new Ricky Henderson, the new Vince Coleman. They need to be. I mean, that would be. If you want the truth, if he would learn and be smart about it, Pete Crow Armstrong would be the next Vince Coleman, the next Ricky, but he's not very smart on the bags. I mean, here's the thing: Miami Marlins. I was at a game one night against the Braves. Miami Marlins. They lost the game. The Braves had a good comeback, but they had 6 stolen bases in that game. I mean, they were moving like crazy, and I'm like, you're gonna get the sellouts every single game if no one's just standing on base with a thumb up their butt all the time. I mean, who wants to watch that? If something's always happening, people will watch. That's the thing. If this is why I never understood why the Showtime did not make it in 2026. Who wants to watch people with a thumb up their butt go? Who wants to see that? I mean, they want to. I mean, but what about hot potato with the ball? You have Johnson to Worthy, dunk. They have the ball 7 seconds or less. Bang. I mean, this is a microwave world, and you're and then people are bored. Look at the NCAA this year with everybody driving in and moving the ball. That got ratings.
Oh man, it was great. It was great. Now going back to baseball again, they're the only sport that doesn't have a salary cap. Do you think that the Major League Baseball will eventually have one? And
personally, I hope not, but they probably will. I hope not because I like what Ohtani did. I like that he did a $700 million contract and 90% of it is deferred.
Oh yeah,
it'll break but here's what's going to happen. It's deferred. Okay. Just being honest, it's deferred, which means they have 5 contracts that are deferred like that. They're just going to, there's going to be some Japanese company that's going to buy the Dodgers, buy out their debt. And then everything like that, and then they'll just get it by themselves in about 10 years when the debt gets way overboard with that. You just watch that. It'll be some Japanese, because it's Ohtani, it'll be some Japanese squad or some Japanese business that'll buy the Dodgers.
Oh, you're giving us some good knowledge right there. Now, my next question, we talked about the salary cap.
What'd you say?
I said we talked about the salary cap. What about contracts? What I mean by that, the NBA no longer, they used to way back in the day, have 5, 8, 10-year contracts. Where in baseball, you get guys signing contracts on the regular. Do you think that will stop? Because in the NBA, what they do, the most I think you can get, they'll give us a 5-year contract, the most. In Major League Baseball, they can do whatever they want. What do you feel about that? Oh, I think I lost him. Uh-oh, I hope not. But what I was asking him was about, Major League Baseball is the only league that doesn't have a salary cap. And if you look at all these contracts, Ohtani and what's his name, Sosa, whatever his name, I don't know too many baseball names, but them guys are signing huge contracts, like 10, 50, whatever it is. And damn well, at the end of their contract, it's not going to be even worth it. But they're signing these guys to some outrageous contracts. And I wanted to know what his take was on that. I think we lost him. But anyway, that was cool. I wanted to have him on the show because Jacob he's one of a kind. I like him. I like his posts. I had the opportunity of meeting him on another podcast, and I just like the way he keeps it real. He don't sugarcoat anything. I don't agree with him on everything he says, but you know what? I like the fact and respect the fact that he's true to what he believes in, and he keeps it 100, and that you can't get anything else. But I was going to ask him a couple other things because I wanted to do something different tonight with him because he's off the hook. He was on my show last time, folks, and he stole the show because he's funny, he's knowledgeable, he's a sports writer, he's a journalist. He does a lot of things, and you're going to be looking out for him because he's entertaining to say the least. And I'm glad I was able to meet him and have him on my show. As I said before, last show he was he stole the damn show. But folks, I'm sorry that he might have had technical difficulties. I could tell he had a hard time hearing me, but I'll get him back. You best believe I'll get him back because he's entertaining, and he's anybody that will tell you when you're a podcaster, you like people who just talk because that's what you want. You want them to be the star of the show, not the actual guy who's doing the show, the host or whatever you want to call it. But folks, we're almost up for time right now. It's been an honor and a blast. Oh, he just hit me back. His battery went out or something like that. But I'll get him back on, folks. I know he's entertaining. I'll get him back on. But folks, it's been great talking with my man Jacob. And folks, if you stay tuned, you will see some entertaining NBA talk tonight. The courtside view. I think my man Kaz is coming on. I'm going to be there. And who knows who's going to show up. But we have some very interesting topics, and we got a lot of things going on in the NBA, and it's going to be great. So if you guys can tune in, I greatly appreciate it. 9 o'clock, right here on the Sports Wave Network. Until then, I want to again thank you guys for tuning in to my show, Sports Corner with the Conn Man, on the Sports Wave Network. Y'all take care. God bless. See you soon.